Hi, a quick disclaimer, this is not a paid promotion. Dockcase has no control over the editorial or what I say. I bought 2 enclosures with my own money. They did send me 2 extra enclosures for review. These are purely my opinions. Video is detailed walkthrough. Due to the duration, videos will be part 1 and 2. Firmware update requires Windows system. Description will contain affiliate links. And finally, thanks for your time. Hello, welcome back to this chapter, and in this we will find out how the menu and this button works and all the other options, so that later we can prepare for firmware update, and that process is also slightly involved. So first, let's get to know the menu options of this. I have the Mac Studio right in front of me, and I will take this cable and I will connect it here. This dock case right now doesn't have any SSD, and it needs to be empty for firmware update. And because there is no SSD, it takes little time to boot because it's trying to detect the SSD. And now you can see the menu here, and the orientation of this menu is changed by pressing the menu button twice. And you have to be on this menu, which gives you info about health and other parameters, to be able to switch the orientation. And once again, so that we see it straight. Yeah. So that's how the double click works. So double click is basically for the menu orientation change. And if you keep this pressed, then here at the bottom, you will see an option appear. SSD info. There is no SSD, so we will not get any info, and it says SSD unrecognized. If you keep it pressed, then it comes to SSD info and about me. About me is the most important factor of this enclosure, because this is where it tells you the hardware version and when the firmware was updated. Now, the menu keeps coming back to the main screen. It doesn't stay over there. And the trick is you keep it pressed, and now just press it once again. Because it goes to other settings, which is read only mode, you can enable it to be only read in the read mode. And then there is a screensaver. If you keep clicking, it goes to other options. And if you want to select that option, then you have to keep the button pressed and it'll select that value. Boot image, language, restore, and restart. So on the top, you're seeing H300. So that's the hardware version and the model number. So this screen is really important for us to tell Dockcase that we need an upgrade for this firmware. I will let it rest and it will go back to the main menu. Or if I press this button as long press, then it will activate that value whichever is selected. So here SSD info, about me, and monitor. Monitor is basically the wattage and data meter, where it tells you how much of wattage uh, this enclosure is taking from your system. And if you keep it pressed here, it comes back to the menu, SSD info, about me, monitor, and CFG and DFU mode. This is the mode which is needed for firmware update. And we will press restart again, and it restarts. Orientation is where I set it to be. And before we start the process, here on this menu, we're going to take a picture. So just take your phone right up close to the screen. Make sure the focus is correct. Long press SSD info about me, and when about me comes, click a photo, and that's the photo I've got. So here, as you can see, all the info of the drive is very clear, and we will send this photo to them. This is one of the photos, and then we will turn the case around here, and there is a model number with the whole thing, and we will take a picture of this as well. And last photo will be of the inside of the enclosure. For that, I'm just disconnecting it since there is no SSD in it. And the PLP is activated. This little mark is for the battery, where the PLP battery is. And once the PLP shuts down, make sure the device is powered off. Then we will open this. I will keep this cable aside. And inside the dock case, there is this information, which is model number and version 2023-02-18. So that means 18th of February 2023 was when they basically assembled this chip and they uploaded their firmware on it. If the firmware update is available, then they will send it to you over the mail. So we'll take a photo of this little code as well. Yeah. This code they will see and they will know. So all the photos are done and the menu diving we've done. Let's get back to the email now. Hi, so here we are on our email and I've already composed the email. It needs to go to support@dockcase.com. I already have it on my senders list, so we'll select that. And my subject reads firmware update request for Dockcase Explorer M2 NVMe enclosure. And dear support team, please help me with firmware update for this enclosure. Product Dockcase Explorer Silver DSW C1C ES Explorer Silver. Thanks. And these are the pictures. This is the main home screen, so we know the device and the hardware number. And we have the model number here also. They can see what it is. Inside we've taken again which version it's running, and I also took one more photo, which is the box and the enclosure showing very clearly. And we'll send this mail to them and send. And I did this earlier when I received all the packages. So basically I had all the Explorer editions and the C1 Pro and the SATA drive. I took marks of the serial and stuff like that, and I sent it to them. And just next day, they're pretty fast with their response. I got an email from Ella. So I think their warehouse is in China, but they stock a lot of stuff locally for different countries where they sell it. So they wrote that currently M2 NVMe SSD enclosure firmware updates are available, and please check the attached document. Now the attached document was First make sure which hardware version you have, which model you have, and then relating to that hardware model, you have to download this file. Now, something very important about this firmware update is that this can only be done on the Windows right now. I tried doing it through Wine, but it was not basically helpful at all. And I do have a Windows laptop, so that's what I will be using, and I will show it to you. And here, when Dockcase starts, it also has the revision number, but the screen flashes through so fast that you are hardly able to read this. But you can always pause or make a video and pause it. So these are the different firmware packages. They're saying it applies to Edge 300, 310, 320. 300 is what we have, and I'll be showcasing how to download this and update the firmware on a Windows device. So here we are, sent a mail, got a reply, and in this reply we have this. I wish the whole thing was very easy for people to do, like an app or something, and also Mac, because since they have such amazing looking devices. But the thing is that um, the update process is slightly involved, but updates are needed sometimes. There are features that are added, but the firmware that it comes with, I mean, it performs really well, but updates are needed. And before installing your NVMe, you must update the firmware. So see you in the other chapter. So I have connected the dock case to my Windows laptop, and so here is the document that I received from them, and then all I have to do is click on this H3XX because that's the version that I have, and they've also sent a tutorial on how to get it. And I will do this, paste that link. It's a Google Drive link, and I will simply download this. It took a while to download, but we have it. And let's get that file, this one, and let's put it on our desktop. And we have to extract this zip folder, extract, and then we are in this folder. It says 2280H3XS. So any device where our hardware is in the sequence of 3, that's where we use this. And our device, this one that we are planning to this device has hardware of see, about me, an H300. You can't see that clearly, but that's what it says. It is H300 on the blue bar here. And we have these folders. So first of all, after extracting the compressed file in Windows, what we have to do is open the first folder. First folder is this one, and they've also given us update guide. So you can choose to read that guide and follow it, and I'll also tell you how to do that. So first of all, we get into first folder, and there is this utility called UTH-MP2 Lite, and that's executable. It's a portable application, so you don't need to install it. And once you're here, it shows you that your dock case is connected. It's showing device connected. Let's make this bigger so that we know. I'm just going to minimize that window. Yeah. And we have this tool open now, and it is seeing that on port 3 our root hub is connected. So all we have to do is make sure that this dock case is selected, device select, and press this button, update device. It is saying updating, and our enclosure does not have an SSD in it. Make sure you do that. It's saying updating. And it says 100% complete now, and pass. So that means we are doing things the right way. And we have serial number, product model, vendor. After this, we close this utility. And after closing, we then open the second folder that we received here. And second folder says there is a ROM file and there is an application file. So application, it's a DFU utility. So here what we have to do is keep the menu button pressed, SSD info, about me, monitor, and then CFG and DFU mode. On our device, we are in the DFU mode right now, and it's waiting for the command. Once again, we keep this and we start the DFU utility. Windows is protecting my PC, but I'm saying run anyway. And we are in DFU mode. It's saying please select ROM file. And it says browse. When we browse to the folder, it automatically opens the same folder which was open. As we can see that we are in, or we can go back to desktop, go into our folder, which is our second folder, and then ROM. Once we have the ROM, we say open. And I'm going to minimize this. So we have this. Right device connected. Please make sure the product model is same. Yes, we've made sure of that. And then we have this, and we say run DFU. Once you've said run DFU, then you say, it shows a smiley with a tongue and the DFU device is connected. And now our device has gone blank. And we'll say download. And we wait for this progress bar. Doesn't take very long. And download completed. And as you notice, the enclosure automatically rebooted. And here we've done okay. So right now we are on, but now we need to set the device back on the default mode. So what we need to do is, as you can see, the run DFU mode here or default, all the other options are grayed out. But when we keep this pressed, about me, monitor, CFG and DFU mode, again we have these two options, DFU and default. Now because we upgraded the firmware, we just want to put it to default value. Restore factory settings succeeded. Basically it's a success and we got it. Now you have updated your firmware and also you've put your device on the default mode. And we'll rotate. And as you can see, in About Me section, you can match SSD info, About Me. You can match the serial number and the date of the MFG date of the firmware, 6/9/2023. And that is the ROM. You can check here. The ROM is 6/9/2023, as you can see here. (2023-09-06). So we've successfully upgraded the firmware, and this method applies on all the Dockcase enclosures. This is what you do, and I hope that Dockcase makes an app which makes it easy for people on Windows and Mac to be able to upgrade the firmware without getting into this very involved process. And next up is we'll install our NVMe on this. So we've successfully upgraded the firmware, and now we will take Dockcase, and the plate was already open, and we take our NVMe SSD, and as you can see, the slot is here. We, at an angle, we insert our NVMe drive in the slots given, and the screw which is there for tightening the SSD. Some SSD enclosures, they give you a small little rubber pad, but Dockcase gives you a screw, and I'm choosing not to put the gasket here because anyways, we don't tighten it fully. We just keep it, and there's a slot. With gasket, what happens is, if you put gasket, then on this tape here, as you can see, because gasket makes the screw rise up a bit, so it does this to this tape. So I basically chose not to put the gasket, and with gasket also, there is good amount of pressure here, and the plate doesn't fit straight away, and there's a little bit of a wobble, so I decided not to put the gasket there. And there is this slot here which goes on this side, and then we take the screw and our SSD is ready for Mac Studio. Now quickly let's check this enclosure for the speeds, and I'm using Blackmagic Design this speed test, and the stress level is set to 5 gigabits, and we select our drive, which is crucial. Open speed test. So write speed is around 965. It fluctuates, sometimes 955, 965, close to 10 Gbps, and write speed is approximately half. And there are many factors about this, basically which internal SSD you are using, although this one is high capacity, but it all depends on the speed of working, and in different scenarios it does certain things really well, certain things not really efficiently, because a case is there which provides 40 Gbps. In my opinion, these enclosures are pretty fast, and the screen is really important. Screen tells us about the health of the drive, and also has this exposed circuitry. The power loss protection battery cell is there. There is only one drawback, because Mac Studio's reboot time is less than 10 seconds. So when you do a reboot, then Mac Studio doesn't see the SSD, because in between when the PLP is triggered, your Mac boots up faster than that, and then you have to manually restart the enclosure by clicking the menu button, which is basically, if you go to your menu, About Me, Monitor, CFG, and on CFG press once again and start the dock, so that it reinitializes and your system sees the drive. That's the only drawback. Now I do have a wish list, and I hope Dockcase people are watching this video, is to a make these enclosures faster, and also if they can figure out a way to have the cable not separate, maybe in the case, as I can show you one of the device drives that I have, which is this Buffalo, and these are pretty old devices, and these drives basically had this integrated cable in it, which is really good. And this is like approximately 20 years old, and it still works. And on Explorer Edition, the power module needs to be such that the aux power is not needed, because it's 2024 and we should have devices that don't require that much power. And I think we have the technology. It's just that someone needs to work around the circuit board to actually make it more efficient. And I like the Explorer version more, and C1 Pro not so much, because the capacity is limited. You can only put 2 terabytes of SSD in it. This one can take 4. And the other device which we got from Dockcase, which was this SATA 2.5, although I mean the technology is same, it's touchscreen and stuff, but because of it being underpowered, I think this device need to be looked at again, so that they can develop more and do more R&D. All in all, I'm happy with my purchase, and I would say if you want to go for these enclosures, then Explorer Edition is the best choice from Dockcase. The design is good, their entire assembly quality of the product is fantastic. Just that integrated cable is needed, PLP in a way that it does not hamper the reboot of the system, and um, a small little case where you can carry it, because it's glass, and you can secure it nicely, although they do sell some silicone cases. And I know these videos have been very long, and I'll actually split these videos into two, so part one and part two, and we've covered almost everything there is about Dockcase. And also want to highlight the update process. The firmware update for dock cases only relies on Windows. So although the cases are superb and you can use it with Mac, but they do not have a straightforward approach of making those firmware updates. You have to send a mail, click photos, tell them, look at the hardware version. They need to work on an app, Dockcase app, which is Windows, Mac, Linux compatible, because people use different kind of systems, and people want to be able to connect their device to their system, launch the app, and just do the firmware update instead of sending an email, waiting for the response, and that quite involved and complicated way of updating the firmware. In my opinion, that just does not work. And Dockcase, if you are listening, please make an app so that users are not relying on only Windows based systems, because people have Macintosh systems, Linux, and Windows. So please make an app which is across platforms and stuff, so that the firmware update is easy. And yeah, that's about the firmware. And I hope you found these videos useful, and I'll be back with more music, tech, gear, production kind of videos. And stay tuned and have a great day.